Welcome back to Grim and Whim. Today we'll be looking at 3 stories from the subreddit r/creepyencounters. So let's go ahead and hop right in. This first story is titled Half Naked Stranger Walked into My House. This isn't that wild, but things like this never happen where I live. And I appreciate that it could have been a lot worse than it was. My partner and I live in an old mid-terrace house. There are other terrace properties to the back of us and the sides, so we are in a square of the same properties. There is no access to our garden or the back of our house unless you get into a neighbor's garden and jump over one of our 6-foot fences or go through the front door. The area that we live in is extremely quiet and there are lots of families around. So, in the days when we are both in, we tend to keep the doors closed but unlocked. This happened on a weekday just after lunch. I was at my desk, which is in the living room, when something in the garden caught the corner of my eye. I look out the window to see a half naked man. He was wearing shorts, storming down the garden towards the back of my house. I had never seen this man before and had no idea how he had gotten into my garden and what his intentions were. My partner and I are both women, and I am quite short, and at the time, my partner was off work with flu and was sleeping upstairs, so I was immediately on edge seeing this man. I heard the back door being smashed open and heavy panting, so I immediately went to the door of the room I was in and shut it, holding it closed. I heard him come out of the kitchen and into the hallway where there are stairs and the door of the room I was in. I then had a sudden realization that my partner was upstairs and I was worried that he may go up there and do God knows what. I opened the door of the room I was in and shouted, mimicking the tone that my mom does when she's super angry and wants to terrify us. And I shouted, "What are you doing?" The man was already opening the front door to go out when I did this, so I probably should have just waited for him to leave. He stepped back in towards me and shouted, swinging his arms around. I couldn't make out much of what he was saying in my panic, but there was a lot of swearing and it wasn't pleasant, which led to me panicking even more. I managed to push him out the door and quickly lock it. No idea how I managed to do this. He stood on the doorstep, shouting and banging on the door afterwards, trying to get back in, and then eventually left when I was on the phone to the police. The police came to my house to take my statement. They explained that it was a man who lived about 5 minutes away from us. I had never seen him before, though. He had gone on a drug-fueled rampage in the street behind ours. He had threatened people with a shovel and had slashed someone with a knife, and they believe that he actually had it on him when he came into our house. He explained that they had reports of this man forcing his way into neighboring properties, and he had actually pushed over several people and had punched another person when they tried to stop him from getting in. They did eventually pick him up on the other side of town, and he was trying to stab the doors of a block of flats in an attempt to get in. The next story is titled, Never Walk by Yourself in a New Town. So this happened back around 2014 or 2015. I was about 19 or 20 years old. I was a scrawny thing at 4'10", not much weight or muscle to myself. We had just moved to this town. My family and I checked the crime rate. It was pretty low and we thought it was a safe town. boy, were we wrong. So this town was about 1,000 people or so, and we had just moved here a few weeks prior. Nothing bad had happened. One cold winter day, my parents decided to let me walk to the little store in town. It was about 3 blocks away, so it was like a 5-minute walk. I didn't personally own a cell phone at this time, nor did I have pockets on my pants. And I took my parents' phone and card to get whatever we needed at the store at that time. I had the card in my hand and it was visible, which was a bad mistake looking back on it. I walk up to the store without incident, and I didn't see that there were these boys on the way up to the store. And I got what I needed and I left the store pretty quickly, putting the card into the grocery bag. At this point, the sun was setting and it wasn't dark outside, but the sun was past the buildings in town. I get between the store and an abandoned building with a library, almost at the end of the block, when I see 3 young boys, probably between middle to high school age, and I knew I had to go that way to get home, so I was forced to walk past these 3 boys. At first, I didn't have a bad feeling, and they weren't saying anything to me. I honestly don't think they saw me at first. Anyways, I get almost to the library and I pass the boys, and they're between the library and the store at this abandoned place. As soon as my back was to them, I got a very bad feeling. That's when I heard one of the boys say, "You! Yeah, you!" I look back and they were headed my way again. I just ignored them and didn't answer. I heard footsteps, but it was a distance away. Then I heard them say again, "Hey, you! Come here!" Again, I ignored them. This time, the footsteps got louder and faster, like they were jogging. And one last time, I heard them say, "You! Yeah, you! Come here!" But this time it was louder and a lot more aggressive. At this point, the footsteps were at a run now and almost right behind me. I look back and the 3 boys were almost on me, but not quite at arm's length. At this time, I got scared. I didn't have a weapon on me to defend myself. Nobody was on the road. I was all alone with the 3 boys, and I didn't know what to do. So I gripped my parents' cell phone tighter, my other hand in a fist. I was ready to fight and use the phone as a weapon. As soon as these 3 boys were now within arm's length of me, an ambulance goes by. I remember looking at the guys in the ambulance. They were driving by really slow, and they were looking at me, then looking at the 3 boys. I saw the passenger guy look at me and smile. Then they drove away. I look back, and the 3 boys had left and went far away from me. I don't know why I didn't yell at the ambulance people for help. Maybe I was too shocked or scared. I called my family members and I told them what happened and asked if I could get a family member to come pick me up or meet up with me and finish walking me home. I don't remember what they said, but by the time my family member got out of the house, I was already home. Thankfully, they didn't follow me home either, but I was walking as fast as I could, gripping the phone tight and constantly looking over my shoulders. I was thinking the whole time, just let me get home safe, or let a family member catch up to me. Thankfully, I didn't see them again after this incident. To this day, I do believe the ambulance men saved my life. I had a really bad feeling about these guys. I think they were going to rob me or worse. Also, being in a new town, I didn't really know my way around. I honestly kind of ignored my gut feeling because I could have crossed over onto the other street, but I didn't. Now I have better situational awareness and I listen to my gut. It has never been wrong. My gut feeling has stirred me in the right direction. Our final creepy encounter story is titled Creep in the Woods. I'd say the place I lived in was just pretty old. It wasn't densely populated nor empty. It had wooded areas around it. You could cycle to the mall or school and other normal places, but you'd have to take a car to go to places like the hospital. And I was basically in my last year of high school. Being an only child and a girl on top of that made my parents overprotective, and I was naturally more cautious than the rest of my friend group. I didn't really mind being that way because I always thought that that was the better option. So, teenagers from school would have these outdoor get togethers in the woods a few kilometers away from my school. And it was just common for people to lounge out and about, chilling until about 3 a.m. or something. Including me, it was a group of four. They decided since it's our last year, we should probably drink together in the woods. Obviously, looking back, this was a stupid idea. But it wasn't unsafe. It wasn't deep in the woods either. There's a pretty clear trail and a small openish area where people would walk their dogs and whatnot. We planned to do this on a Thursday because my parents would be out and the rest would convince theirs that we were having a sleepover. Now, we brought the alcohol and some other stuff to just chill out. There were no others around that day because it was a weekday and it was quite chilly as well. It was pretty lively. You could see the houses from the distance and people would be driving around and all, so naturally we felt a bit safer. We walked on the trail for about 1 minute when I felt uneasy. I felt like we were being watched or something. And I looked over to one of my friends. She looked a little distressed, and we shrugged it off and walked only a few minutes more and found our spot. We started drinking and basically spent like 1 hour and about 30 minutes gossiping and having those deep talks while being drunk. I didn't drink too much, and neither did my other friend. We were just a little tipsy. Now we had forgotten about the brief, weird feeling that we both had while walking until we heard something from the trees in front of us. Even though we were loud, we all heard it. It was like this weird snicker or giggle. I got up from this log I was sitting on and just dragged my friends back a little. We had a fire going and two torches, but we still couldn't really see into that area. It wasn't that close to us. Think about 4 doors away if you place them horizontally, so the fact that we heard that laugh was just insane to me. I pointed the flashlight straight into the area and no one came out. I sat back down, and when I turned the flashlight off, there was a silhouette coming out. I switched on the flash to blind the person while my other friends did the same. We started yelling and getting ready to run when I saw the most horrifying sight of my life. It was this man who we'd never seen before. He had this plaster smile and his hair was covered in dirt. He was pale and his eyes were almost like he wasn't looking at us, but just in our general direction. I can't explain it, but it was just textbook creepy. We all ran for it. My very drunk friends even managed to snap out of it. We got to my house. I lived closest to this place, and we called the cops. They found nothing. Word got out, and people pretty much stayed away from these paths at nighttime. And a couple of the guys in our school managed to get their dads and guns to find this guy, but nothing ever came of it. Fast forward to like 1 month later. We didn't talk about it much and never did anything like that again. I got a pocket knife and pepper spray to keep. I went home after school and I was exhausted, so I decided to take a nap. My dad was at work and my mom was visiting her sister. I suddenly woke up to this weird sound, and we had one story and the walls were not too thick. I locked all the doors and even the windows out of habit. Still fearing the worst, I locked my bedroom door and I looked out the window, but there was nothing. I grabbed a bat and my phone and I headed out of my room. I looked at all the doors and everything was locked, but there was this weird shuffling out of my house, and I looked through the window of my living room. I kid you not, it was the same dude from the woods. He was just outside, walking in this erratic, eerie way, which just set me into a spiral. He somehow saw me and started saying, "Hi there," very loudly. I called the police, and after that, I told him to F off. And after that, he started saying my name and all of my friends' names. The police questioned him, and he has no history of mental illness. He had no clinical disorder, and after enough torture and in an edit, the original poster did say that by torture they meant interrogation. So after interrogation, he confessed to liking young women. He is in jail now, but he probably will get out in a couple of years. And like I said, there was an edit. The original poster said, "By torture, I meant interrogation." My dad has a friend who is a cop, and the cop told him that this guy would scream when they asked him things. And so they weren't physically like torturing him, but I guess him being in that room and them asking him questions, he would like scream bloody murder. And so I guess maybe it seemed like it was torture. But he was also guilty of attempted sexual harassment and sexual assault. And that's all they know about this guy. And so, what's really scary about this type of creepy encounter, there is not that much prison time or jail time for people who attempt sexual assault and or actually do sexually assault people, and also people who are like stalking others and harassing others. A lot of times they get like a year or so and then they're back out on the street. And it's so frustrating because meanwhile, somebody could have like a small amount of like marijuana on them, which is a plant and is used for so many things like reducing anxiety and pain management, and really, in my opinion, should be legal everywhere. But there's some people who have gotten like life in prison for just having weed on them. But people who will like sexually harass others and actually ruin someone's life and cause so much trauma, they're like in and out of jail like it was nothing. It's just, I don't know. It's one of the many, many things about the justice system in this country that doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm going to go ahead and get off my soapbox. But yeah, it's incredibly disappointing how we don't take sexual assault and harassment and stalking more seriously, because it really can ruin someone's life. And in some cases, it could kill someone. And it's just, I feel like it really needs to be taken a lot more seriously. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you like this type of content, or you would like to support me, please subscribe to my channel and Subscribe if you're listening to the podcast version. Make sure that you subscribe so that you can be updated when I upload. And also, if you enjoyed it, please give it a like. It helps me out tremendously. And with all that being said, I will see you in the next one. Be safe and have an awesome week. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me. It's goodbye for now, but I hope to haunt you again soon.